to build a literally rock-solid financial foundation. Without just crossing your fingers and hoping for a lucky break, well, this source material has some absolutely fascinating answers for us. Today, we're unpacking a proven blueprint for hitting your very first $10,000. We're going to look closely at the math, the mindset, and the exact moves you need to make to fundamentally change your financial trajectory. Let's get right into it. I want you to start right here with me. Just take a second and imagine opening up your banking app on your phone. That little loading wheel. The screen loads, and right there in the balance section, you see this exact number, $10,000, sitting right there, totally secure in your account. I mean, how does that feel? For a lot of folks, seeing 5 figures of available cash feels like, well, an impossible dream. But today, we are going to make it a tangible target for sure.
Because here is the undeniable truth about all this. Getting to that number, it's not about getting lucky. It's not about a random inheritance or winning the lottery or, banking on some wild crypto surge. Look, we all know the very real hurdles right in front of us. The rent, the bills, the crazy high cost of groceries lately, and maybe even some lingering debt. It's super easy to look at all those things and just feel like saving is completely out of reach. But as our source material clearly points out, achieving this milestone is entirely about building resilient habits. It's all about relying on proven systems. Okay, here is the roadmap. We're going to hit 6 stages to reach that goal. The $10,000 mindset, track and protect, boost your income, automate and optimize, invest for the future, and finally, the long game. So, stage 1, the $10,000 mindset, shifting from dream to reality. Before we even touch the tactical stuff, the source material establishes this absolutely crucial rule. Building wealth is systematic. It is not accidental. It's a logical progression, right? Step 1 is building habits out of small everyday decisions. Then, step 2 turns those habits into automatic systems. And finally, step 3 is actually watching those systems reach your financial goals. It really all starts with shifting your mindset from being a passive consumer to an active builder. Because let's be honest, if you treat saving like an afterthought, just something you do with whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month, the math is simply not going to work out in your favor. Every single dollar you keep has to begin with a conscious decision. Moving on to stage 2, track and protect, playing defense first. Look, you cannot optimize what you don't measure. That's a golden rule. Before you even think about trying to hustle for a higher salary or, taking on a second job, you have to know exactly where your current income is leaking. The blueprint suggests doing a strict 30-day audit. Literally track everything. Your rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, right down to those incredibly sneaky recurring subscriptions and your daily coffees. It is actually amazing and honestly slightly terrifying how much we spend on small recurring items without ever really consciously realizing it. Now, I get it. Looking at that list can definitely be intimidating. But hey, this isn't about eliminating every single thing you enjoy. Keep your morning coffee if it brings you joy. Seriously, life is meant to be lived. The actual goal here is making intentional choices. Because when you actually know where your money goes, you essentially reclaim your power over it. It's about looking at your expenses and deciding that your $10,000 goal is simply more important than, say, that premium streaming service you literally haven't watched in 3 months, right? So, once you plug those financial leaks, you need a shield. And in this blueprint, that means a starter emergency fund of just $300. Now, you might be wondering, why start so small? Well, because life happens. If a sudden flat tire or an urgent medical bill goes straight onto a high-interest credit card, it completely sets you back. Just having a few $100s kept completely separate from your everyday spending account acts as this absolutely necessary financial buffer. It's your safety net. All right, stage 3, boost your income. Playing offense. Here's the thing about saving. It has a hard floor. You can only cut your expenses down to 0, right? But increasing your income, that has virtually no ceiling. Earning more is absolutely the fastest way to accelerate your progress toward that $10,000 mark. I mean, you could take on some freelance work, do some tutoring, sell digital products, or even do delivery and rideshare work on the weekends. But actually, the highest return on investment usually comes from learning really in-demand skills. We're talking video editing, coding, graphic design. Earning just an extra few $100s a month from these creates a massive compounding difference over time. It's all about focusing on skills today that will directly increase your earning potential tomorrow. Which brings us to stage 4, automate and optimize, solidifying the infrastructure. Our source material points out a funny thing about us humans. We are predictably irrational,
Basically, if we see money sitting there in our checking account, we are going to naturally find a way to spend it. That's exactly why relying on sheer willpower to save is just going to fail. I mean, willpower gets completely exhausted after a long day at work. Instead, you've got to set up your system so the very moment you get paid, an automatic transfer just shuttles a predetermined amount directly into savings. No thinking about it, no stressing over it, you just lock in those hard-earned gains and completely avoid any accidental financial self-sabotage.
This crucial point is perfectly captured in this quote straight from our source material. It says, treat saving like paying a bill. I love this because think about it. You wouldn't call up your electric company and negotiate whether or not you feel motivated to pay them this month, right? No way. You just pay it. So do the exact same thing for yourself. Pay yourself first. Consistency, just small amounts saved automatically over and over again, matters so much more than trying to scramble and make massive, irregular one-time deposits.
Another massive part of optimizing your money is cutting the anchors that are dragging you down. If you're carrying high-interest credit card debt, aggressively paying that down is absolutely crucial. Just think about the math for a second. Eliminating a balance that charges you, say, 20% interest, that is effectively the exact same thing as earning a guaranteed 20% return on an investment. It is a literal, immediate financial win. Simply put, the less interest you pay out to a bank, the more of your own hard-earned money you get to keep. Now for stage 5. Invest for the future. The summit. Notice how we only look at long-term investing after your savings and debt foundations are completely solid? You kind of have to earn the right to invest by building your cushion first. But once you are ready, this is how you start making your money do the heavy lifting for you. Now, don't get paralyzed thinking you need to go out and pick the next Apple or Tesla. Actually, the smartest path for most folks is an index fund. As our source defines it, it's simply a low-cost investment that gives you exposure to many companies all at once. It automatically diversifies your money so you aren't risking the whole shebang on the performance of just one single stock. However, there is a very, very necessary caveat we have to discuss here. Never invest money you're going to need in the near future, because investing inherently involves risk. Market values absolutely will fluctuate. They go up and, well, they go down. Taking the time to actually understand what you're buying is non-negotiable. So only invest the money that you can comfortably afford to leave alone for the long haul. Let compound interest work its magic without you panicking and selling everything off during a temporary market dip. And finally, we arrive at stage 6, the long game, sustaining wealth. This is where we sort of zoom out and look at the macro view of your entire wealth building journey. Look, hitting 10 grand is absolutely incredible, but sustaining that wealth, that requires recognizing the difference between a sprint and a marathon. Honestly, your first $10,000 probably isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to take months or maybe even years, depending on your own unique circumstances. But here is the secret. Every single dollar you save, every new skill you learn, and every smart financial choice you make, it all compounds. You are actively building the exact same habits right now that will eventually support a net worth of $100,000 or, hey, even $1 million down the line. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question to chew on. What will your future self thank you for? Really think about it. Will they thank you for buying another round of things you didn't really need? Or will they thank you for starting your foundational habits today? The blueprint is in your hands now. The systems are clear. Start building your foundation, be patient with the process, and let that $10,000 goal become your actual reality.